Welcome back everyone to Let's Play ILLBLEED, and we're just taking a short break back at Wood Puppets to see what would have happened if we had rescued Randy without first getting his brain back. As you recall, that was an optional item. So if we had rescued Randy from those crash test dummies that were beating on him without first having retrieved his brain, what would have happened? Well, we're gonna find out right now. So instead of rescuing normal Randy, we get Brainless Randy, his alternate form. Like I said before, Randy is the only character that has an alternate form, that being Brainless Randy in this case. Now, when you're Brainless Randy, there are two very big differences. One is that Brainless Randy, I should say, does not have any adrenaline. So if you're going to play a level as Brainless Randy, that does mean that you cannot use the horror monitor at all. The other big difference is that Brainless Randy's dialogue is different. You notice that he grunted and groaned instead of speaking English. And that's going to be the case in any cutscenes he's in. As you recall, Killerman had many cutscenes where the protagonist had to speak, so we're going to find out what happens if we play through Killerman as Brainless Randy. But first, let's take a look at what happens if we did not spend our money on surgery, if we actually spent it on recovery items. This is how you break the game. You break the game by saving your money for this, and just spending it all, splurging on all these items. So we're going to spend as much on recovery items as we can, because like I said, with Brainless Randy, we cannot use the horror monitor. So for this instance, I'm going to allow it, because that does mean we're going to be getting hit with all kinds of traps as we go through Killerman. Now, we're just going to hit the highlights of Killerman. We're not going to do the whole thing in real time, because we've seen most of it. So we're just going to hit the fast forward button on the parts that we don't need to see, starting now. Right, so as we play through Brainless Randy and Killerman, we're going to be hitting the cutscenes where Brainless Randy is going to talk, and we're also going to be seeing a few fight scenes with Randy, as his sound effects during battle are different as well. Brainless Randy also has a different stance and a different texture for his face than normal Randy. Let's just see if we can see it here. Yeah, there it is. So it does look a little bit different than how he normally does. Right, so we're not even going to bother getting the horror monitor. We're just going to head on down and hit that cutscene with Cunningham and Yorq.
You must be one of those part-timers. I'm Cunningham. I'm the supervisor of the Killerman in Enemy Section 5. I'll be right with you. We need to go over employee rules and what work you'll be required to do. Oh, this is Reporter Yorq. He is here to check out our amusement park and actually write an exclusive article for us.
Nice to meet you.
First, you've got to remember the basic duties. There's the park facility control room. When you go through the room...
Chief, you're not gonna believe what happened.
What is it?
One of the Killerman costumes is missing.
What's the big deal? I'm sure one of you guys left it somewhere in the room. Don't lose your cool. Just take your time and look for it. It'll show up soon.
But what if it doesn't show up? There's no way we can just ignore this thing, you know. Each costume costs $20 million.
Jason, as you can see, this isn't a good time, as I've got guests at the moment! We can talk about this later if you don't mind. Oh, and as for you, I'll go over the instructions with you later on. While you're waiting, why not visit the park facility control room? Don't forget the ID card. I guess I better tell you where to find it. Take a look by the exit. It'll be right there. Well, Yorq, sorry for the interruption. Shall we continue? Let me show you our monitor room. This way, please.
I guess I'll start looking around backstage.
I love Brainless Randy's dialogue in this. As you can see, the other characters, though, hold on a second. Right, so Brainless Randy does make some different sounds when he gets hit by traps. So, like I was saying, the other characters, they don't react any differently to Brainless Randy's dialogue. They just keep on talking as if he was speaking normally. Now, I think that the different characters would actually have slightly different dialogue depending on who you're using, such as normal Randy would have slightly different dialogue than Erico. And I think that there are a couple of differences in Yorq's responses. But for the most part, he's going to say the same things that he did when we were playing through Killerman as Erico. And we're not going to bother fighting the eggs this time, just in case if they're invulnerable again. But we are going to fight Mary, just because I want to see Brainless Randy's victory pose. He has a different pose than normal Randy. If you remember, normal Randy would pump his fists and say, "Right on," when he defeated an enemy, but Brainless Randy does something a little bit different, so we'll take a look at that. And another thing of interest with Brainless Randy is that when he attacks, the axe glows red. And that did not happen with the other characters. I don't know if that has to do with the lack of adrenaline, or if there's, or what the red glow is supposed to do, if that's making the axe any stronger. But that's just something that I noticed about Brainless Randy that was not the case with the other characters. His weapon will glow red no matter what level you use Brainless Randy on. So if we used him on Killer Department Store, the machete would have glowed red there as well. Yes, I love it. And as you can see, we have more than enough recovery items here to take care of any damage that Randy takes during this level. So we don't actually need the harm monitor at all, really. If you did want to play the game that way, that's certainly one way to do it. It's actually possible to, if you don't want to get the horror monitor, you don't have to go into that first room with the murder victim at all. But then it doesn't really make much sense as to why everyone knows there's been a murder.
Killerman. Jason. It must be Jason.
Manager Cunningham. And look, another killer star. I don't know about that. If Jason is the murderer, then why would he bother reporting to Cunningham about a missing Killerman's costume? I don't think a murderer would report the costume as missing, especially if he was going to wear the thing. Charlie. Anyway, I wonder why the killer keeps killing worker after worker. First thing we should do is find Jason.
Yeah,
But that place is restricted to authorized personnel only. We can't get in there.